After killing Bagabug in his own throne room and reclaiming my fortress after his failed rebellion, I felt a disturbance in one of the faraway maps. I tracked this energy surge into the deepest pit in the lava region. All seemed normal. Until the portal opened up in the middle of the lava. I couldn't believe my eyes, as a huge entity made its way out of the portal. And though I did not recognize this entity, it did seem familiar. I had no idea what he was prattling on about. He attacked me. Why would he be screaming no more at me? We fought, and he ended up hitting me with a few blows due to my confusion. Where did this huge Olog come from? And how did he get Bagabug's helmet? Could he have taken it from Bagabug's beheaded corpse? No, there wasn't enough time for that. As I hit the floor with my fire blast, I pondered where this beast had come from, and what was his motive. Clearly he wanted to kill me, and clearly he was in a lot of distress. But why? Underestimating my foe again, I didn't realize the fire blast would enrage him, ultimately making him stronger and more ferocious. He landed a massive blow on me, and in this frenzied panic, he got the killing blow.
Striking me, not one of better ideas.
After this monster killed me, he took his place in my lands. As soon as I respawned, I was ambushed again by another orc I didn't recognize. This time by a twisted, disgusting machine orc. I immediately killed his mount and rendered him defenseless. I decided to dominate him to get some answers.
I dominate you.
I glimpsed into this orc's past and discovered that he was one of Baga the Alchemist's disgusting creation. Baga often spoke about the orcs that he would give his elixirs and tonics to, turning them from lazy globs into killing machines, and this was one of his monstrous experiments. He informed me that the monster that attacked me in the lava pit was actually a different variant of Bagabug himself. Ever since my Bagabug's death, portals had begun opening up across the multiverse, and this unlucky Olog Bagabug had been pulled out of his reality, right at the second he was engaging his universe's version of Talion. Confused and angry, he ultimately attacked me and defeated me. This all sounded crazy to Talion. He was naturally untrusting of orcs, especially ones like this that had been twisted by science. He shamed and cast out this orc. He didn't want to listen to their tricks. Even though Talion didn't trust that machine orc, he could still feel a disturbance in the area. He jumped down to investigate. There he was ambushed.
And I'm not that stupid!
This variant, just like FAST, must have traveled to my universe right at the second that he was being attacked by his universe's ring bearer. This lesser version of my arch nemesis, Bagabug. I delivered arrows to his head before sinking my blade into his shoulder. From that moment on, I knew I had to fight. He became enraged from taking so much damage. His last stand trait kicked in. There was nothing he could do. A few kicks and a slice to the gut, and he was ready to be put out of his misery. 2 throwing knives to the chest finished him off, and his body clattered to the ground, covered in poison. After the attack, I gathered my thoughts. I realized this freakish orc machine that Baga had created years ago may have been telling the truth. I tracked him down to this cave system.
Ready? Say what you like, but I know the truth. You try to keep violence at arm's length, then blame me for letting it in my heart.
He's completely right. He knew the truth, and I didn't trust him. Now I was going to have to win back his respect and his loyalty through fighting him. I fought him and his henchman Hoglik, the Man-Breaker, but luckily I am not a man anymore.
I guess it's kill and repeat for you. Fine. I'm up for it. Enough! Away from the campfires!
Eventually I was able to weaken Ishmoz down, enough to dominate him. I was unable to get him back on my side. I could sense danger coming, and I knew I would need his help.
At your service, you're chosen!
After that I quickly took care of the Manbreaker.
Let's look over your shoulder from now on. I was gonna haunt you like a shadow.
I blinked, and before I knew it I was set upon by another variant of Bagabug. This one, covered in the blood of his enemies. He didn't say much, but I knew he was a savage. Ishmoz, wanting to prove his newfound loyalty to me, charged in with his flaming weapons, and hit the betrayed in the back, setting him ablaze. This didn't seem to faze him though, as he quickly put himself out and continued to hit me with his spear and shield. This variant of Bagabug wasn't messing around. He was definitely more powerful than the previous ones I'd experienced. He struck me down. But before he could deliver the final blow, Ishmoz intervened. I remembered back to defeating Bagabug, and I used that same sword technique to get the finishing blow on this variant. But the fight wasn't over yet. This variant truly was powerful. Even with Ishmoz I was still struggling. He smashed me with his shield and went in for the killing blow. No chance. This variant was clearly very similar to Bagabug's strength level. His maniacal laugh echoing what was to come to my kingdom. I resurrected myself at the fort in the lava region. Immediately I could sense another variant nearby. In the pits is where I found them.
Defeated! I was defeated!
A variant of Baga was going up against a variant of Bagabug. Bloodstorm charged forward, seemingly completely through Baga's attack. He picked him up and chokeslammed him onto the floor. But Baga wasn't one to give up. He didn't take kindly to being chokeslammed. Slashing this variant on the foot and the eyes, Baga went to work, using his patented triple attack. The Bloodstorm variant of Bagabug didn't stand a chance. I went down to speak to Baga about what was going on, and how we could put an end to it, and protect our kingdom. Suddenly a flash of light hit the both of us. Another variant had teleported in, this one identical to my Bagabug. But would he be at the same power level? He charged forward, but Baga the Alchemist was already warmed up, hoisting Bagabug above his head, and slamming him to the floor. But this only enraged this Bagabug variant. Some of my allied grunts came to the pit fight, but they only got in the way. Bagabug charged, took me down, and almost killed me right there and then. But I was able to counter. I tried to pin his feet so we could take this Bagabug hostage, but his shield blocked it. Then in a flash, I was down again. I reached for Baga the Alchemist, screaming for him to run, which allowed Bagabug to deal his final blow, throwing a spear directly into my heart. I resurrected myself a few hours later and peered down from the tower. I could sense what was happening.
Whoa, whoa! Whoa, whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa!
I was defeated!
Baga, enraged by my death, had gathered forces to take on Bagabug and hunt him down. But he wasn't alone. Ishmoz had followed him there. Clearly I was resurrected to this tower for a reason. As I ran in, Bagabug immediately became enraged. I was terrified by how this fight would go for Baga. Due to Bagabug's sheer aggression, he'd already downed Baga the Alchemist. Even though I was extremely weak from being resurrected so recently, I had to get Baga the Alchemist up, transferring to him the last of my strength. I barely had enough to block this attack.
Whoa! Whoa! Whoa, whoa! Whoa!
Baga and Ishmoz knew it was up to them, with Ishmoz leaping through the air and jumping onto Bagabug. Baga then performed his signature move on Bagabug, hoisting him above the air before crashing his body to the ground. The two of them were amazing together, eventually weakening Bagabug enough that I could get in there and shame him. I couldn't risk killing him. Look what happened whenever I shamed a previous Bagabug. I had to weaken him. I had to shame him down. Ishmoz was in utter shock by what I had done. He had never seen an orc be shamed before.
As much as the next door. Probably more. Definitely more. But there's a time and a place. You've forgotten that for the last time.
Baga couldn't let this stand, slicing him from behind while he charged at me. Maybe my methods are too brutal for orcs. Baga's face gleaming with rage as he executed this orc. Clearly my methods aren't too brutal for Baga. We soon tracked down the disgraced Bagabug. He hadn't gone far.
Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Some of my most powerful orcs had hunted Bagabug down. The Scorpion, a particularly vicious orc, along with the Destroyer, and Skoon the Bitter. All three of them very powerful orcs.
Nobody lets up until every one of those globs stops twitching.
As we rushed in, Bagabug pleaded with the other orcs. I do not know exactly what he said, but what I can ascertain is that he was trying to turn them against me. I quickly engaged Bagabug using my fire attack, but it only enraged him. Amongst the chaos, I moved in behind Bagabug, but the Scorpion blocked my attack.
Well then, alright then.
I lunged back at the powerful Scorpion, terrified of what he might do, but the Destroyer got in my way. Bagabug's speech had gotten through to them, motivating them to betray me and join him. It was getting tough to keep up my defense against four of the most powerful orcs in Middle-earth.
You're gonna come back once I kill you. Gonna see how it feels to have me split your skull open again. Huh? Are you?
The Scorpion was persistent with his attacks. I was still so weak from being resurrected. I couldn't take much more of this, barely mustering the strength to dodge his final blows. But finally, sweet release. My death had come at the hands of Bagabug, getting his revenge on me for shaming him, as well as recruiting these four powerful orcs: the Bitter, the Destroyer, and most importantly, the Scorpion. Talion, having reached his regenerative limit, sent out a call to aid for other ring bearers to join his fight. This call went out to all the multiverses where these orcs came from. Baranor was the first to answer the call. A skilled warrior, and in possession of the fire ring, Baranor would be a true opponent to all of these orcs, and he had a score to settle with the Bitter. He had faced the Bitter before, back in his homeland. This near-death experience prompted Baranor to fully embrace the power of his ring, thus starting the slow corruption of his brain, like Talion. A slow descent into madness, but Baranor was still sane enough to know what he needed to do. He hunted down and confronted the Bitter.
The poison on this thing is dripping on me hands and making them numb. But it'll be worth it if it helps me end your life.
He immediately got to work using his explosive and fire attacks. But Skoon the Bitter had an ace up his sleeve, his epic grog call. Baranor sunk arrow after arrow into the beast's skull. before taming the beast using the power of his ring. Scoon the Bitter had used this diversion as a chance for him to escape. Baranor wouldn't give up too easy. Mounting the beast, he chased down Scoon the Bitter, but he was ambushed. One of Bagabug's variants, Shagflak the Betrayed. Baranor quickly went to work using his fire abilities. Shagflak, being crazy as ever, didn't see Baranor as being a true threat. But he was soon proven wrong. Explosive strike after explosive strike, Shagflak felt himself crumbling. Shagflak just didn't have an answer for these explosive attacks. He'd never seen attacks like this before. Once weak enough, Baranor had no issue disposing of this orc. Into the pit he goes. Once he was taken care of, Baranor continued to track down the Bitter, stopping only to regenerate his health by sucking the life force out of this orc. He tracked him down to this lava cave. He had found the Bitter.
I killed you! I was supposed to get over my shame! But now you're back, they'll mock me even more!
The Bitter trying to get under his skin by bringing up their past. This only enraged Baranor and spurred him on. He was showing absolutely no mercy to the Bitter. Baranor watched as the Bitter burned, and he enjoyed it. He loved watching him in agony. What the Bitter did to Baranor all those years ago left him numb. But watching the Bitter burn, Baranor couldn't help but feel joy for the first time in a long time.
Finish me! I can't stand the shame! End it!
Baranor obliged. He took the Bitter's hand before cleaving him straight in half. He had gotten his revenge. He had done what he came here to do. Unsure of what he should do next, the Baranor left the cave system in search of Talion. Across the map, another one of Talion's allies was answering his call. Galadriel, in possession of one of the elven rings of power. Galadriel hunted and tracked down one of the strongest members that came through the portal. Urbenu, also known as Big Bagabug. She used her light elven feet to sneak around the back of Urbenu and land a brutal stealth attack. Unlike Bagabug, this variant did take damage from stealth attacks. His grunts were an utter shock.
Once I served you, I outsmarted you. I betrayed you. Now I kill you.
Urbenu was once Galadriel's right-hand orc, before he betrayed her, killed her, and fled her universe. But she does not forgive, and she does not forget. With the way that Urbenu fights and his skill set, he was easily able to defeat Talion. But Galadriel is a completely different beast. His only chance would be to become enraged. Much lighter and faster, Galadriel is able to zip around, landing deadly blows. Eventually being able to weaken Urbenu down. Landing blow after blow, he realized that his time was near. The only chance he had was to go fully enraged, but Galadriel was too fast and too deadly. Sensing he was weak enough, she took out her bow and landed 2 arrows directly to his skull, finishing off the monster Bagabug. His huge body clattering to the floor, echoing around the area. With this kill, Galadriel sensed a disturbance in the local area, almost as if the world was being torn apart. Soon after she got this sense, she was ambushed.
My blood brother died at your hands. If you're lucky, I'll kill you quick. But I don't get the feeling you...
Amug the driver, Big Bagabug's blood brother. His presence, however, felt completely unnatural. Galadriel felt she had to dispatch him quickly. And that's exactly what she did, tossing his glitchy corpse over the edge for the rest of the area to see. Galadriel had arrived, and she wanted her presence to be known. At the same time as this, Baranor resurrected across the map. He also could sense a disturbance. He could sense something that wasn't meant to be here. Something that was causing ripples in the reality. He investigated to find an insanely similar version of Bagabug from a different reality. This one though, the same as Amug, was causing glitches. He clearly wasn't stable and shouldn't remain in this land for very long.
Whoa, whoa! Whoa, whoa! Whoa, whoa! Whoa, whoa! Whoa!
Baranor knew what he had to do, but before he could attack...
You couldn't possibly be doing what I think you're doing! Are you running away? Oh, the lads will never believe it!
The Scorpion had come to the aid of his new master, Bagabug. Baranor tried his best using his advanced fire powers against these two. It didn't work. They were both immune to fire completely. He knew he couldn't beat them like this. He had to recuperate. He had to do a tactical retreat to get his thoughts together and try and come up with a game plan. But just then he noticed the two of them were completely enraged, blinded by it, attacking each other. This was his time to strike. If they weakened each other, he could quickly take one out.
This is all too much bother! You'll pay next time!
And that's exactly what happened. The Scorpion crumbling under Bagabug's immense strength. He ran. Baranor chased. He couldn't let this opportunity go. He had to take out at least one of them. They were too powerful together. Baranor switched to poison attacks, and through this he was able to weaken the Scorpion enough to throw him off the edge, down into the deep fiery pits. The same pit that Bennu came out of. Baranor was drawn to the energy of this area. He knew something was down here, something evil, something that was causing all of this chaos, all of these problems. He stared deeply into the lava, and what he saw shocked him to his core. He saw glimpses and visions of an evil fortress ruled only by Bagabugs, and at the head, in charge, was the original Bagabug the Stormbringer, unshamed. This Bagabug did not say woo-woo, instead he spoke. He was in charge of this evil, dark, cursed fortress, along with many, many, many other Bagabugs, all at the height of their powers. Baranor knew this evil fort had to be taken out. It was the only way to stop what was happening to Middle-earth. But what army could possibly take out an entire fortress of Bagabugs?